Most business owners are using AI for basic tasks like emails. The ones that are getting ahead, they're using it to transform how they work. I'm Tania Gomez. 6 months ago, I didn't know the difference between ChatGPT and a chatbot. Now I'm learning from AI experts, testing tools in real businesses, and sharing everything that works. Because AI won't replace you, but someone using AI will. This is the AI Apprentice. Join our free community of practice at providercollective.com.au, where hundreds of business owners are learning together. We start as AI apprentices, but we leave as masters. Let's get into it. Welcome to the AI Apprentice. My name is Tania Gomez, and today I'm joined by Andrew Olson. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get into it, can you tell us a little bit about the business that you run and how you help businesses embrace AI?
Embrace AI. My business is called Donnabrook. Donnabrook was the name of my farm growing up in Canada. I wanted to have a name that was kind of neutral because I didn't want to be aligned to a specific technology because, as we know from this conversation, it's going off in different directions. So what I've done after leaving Telstra about 4 years ago now is set up an advisory and referral service to help organizations assess and leverage the right AI-empowered telephony platform. And these have gone so much beyond the dial tone in terms of where and how it can help your business, which we'll talk about. So I have no direct commercial relationship with any of my clients. I refer the appropriate aligned service to them. I'm transparent about that process. If there isn't an alignment, that comes out through the discovery. But I have lifecycle accountability in looking after them.
Wonderful. Yeah, so today I invited you in to talk about AI telephony. And the first thing that I think of when I've heard about AI phone systems is I was thinking about really bad robot sounding systems on the phone.
Yeah.
Can you explain what AI in telephony really is and what the outputs are today?
Yeah, I think firstly, to correct the semantics, I don't think it's quite at the point where you can call it AI telephony. It kind of implies that it's entirely run and managed by AI. It's augmented by AI, and there's been a gradual, guarded process where the services that I refer are natively cloud-based, which means gone are the days of the infrastructure and the old handset. All you require to use your office number is the internet, which would make your phone number available on any device, anywhere, at any time. And behind that would be all those enterprise capabilities that we normally expect: the call handling, the recording, the transcription, the integration, and increasingly now the AI augmentation.
So what do you mean by augmented?
Well, it enhances the output in terms of the business outcomes that you can get. So as an example, if we put the AI augmentation or the add-ons aside, you'll have an environment where the telephony can now integrate into multiple different systems. So a phone call comes in. I know that it's Tania Gomez. Your record pops up on your CRM. I know your history. When the call is finished, the record is kept. There's a recording that's kept there as well if they've accepted the recording. And that's pretty standard now, is that interoperability with multiple systems from what was otherwise a separate dial tone that required wrap-up. Where AI has gone is providing things like it's replacing the IVR with an AI receptionist. So the AI will take the call in a conversation, and it will be sourcing information from a very contained, defined source area. It's called RAG, retrieval augmentation generation. So it's going to all the information that you put up about your company that you wanted to draw from in responding to the person. So it can take your call, it can redirect you to the right person, it can take a message. So that's one area. The other area, which is really exciting, which is relatively recent. This has all happened within the last 18 months for some of the main global vendors, is the ability to take the AI module, link it to an extension. It automatically transcribes the call, creates a summary. If there's integration, it'll put that summary against Tania Gomez's record in the CRM. So you've got the call summary there. Wrap-up time is eliminated. There's a link of the transcription there and a link of the recording, so you can always verify that accuracy. And it'll allow you to, at a macro level, measure customer sentiment or tenant sentiment or participant sentiment to identify if there's any stress, well-being, good, bad. But you can also track calls by word, phrase, or concept. So, and I can go into detail on that. You may have some other questions that come up, but this is proving to be very powerful in terms of facilitating an easy way to get the pulse of the voice activity. It's taking a voice call and now providing and creating actionable insights from it.
So
Does that make sense?
So if I recap, if I've understood that correctly, if I take a call from one of my clients, as I pick up the phone, the phone can ring through my mobile phone or it might ring through my laptop. I can pick up that call and inside my CRM, it'll pop up and have who's calling. And then I can see the notes from the past records. And as I'm talking, it's transcribing it, saving it. And then in the background, it's also using AI to figure out, was this call a complaint or, not, basically.
Yeah.
And then if it was a complaint, it can do things like escalate it, pin it, tag it, so that we can then use this data later.
Yeah. The degree to which you can then subsequent actions can be taken from an AI agent, for example, is outside of the scope of the telephony providers at this stage, but it's not far off.
Yeah.
But that's absolutely correct. You have a facility now where you can flag any call. I'll give you an example. I have a NDAS client, and he wants to know every time amongst the 20 or 50 support coordinators he employs that someone says, no one told me that, or I wasn't informed about that, or some derivative of that, because he wants to improve employee training so that information gets across the right time, and also proactively going to manage the participant. And to him, that's very valuable because he runs the risk of someone being unhappy or going to another provider.
Yeah. Wow, that's a good example.
I have another one that's even more interesting. I have a community housing provider. And we are going through a discovery right now. They're really greatly interested in the ability to track the calls for a number of different reasons around compliance and around governance, and to be able to identify and capture those calls. The first thing that she was interested in is she wants to know every time someone swears in a conversation. And the reason is her first concern is employee well-being, because the agents tend to bottle up these things when they have an abusive tenant in the community housing provider context. They'll bottle it up, and that could build up and result in the worst case scenario, either a churn or a psychosocial workers' compensation claim, which nobody wants. So she wants to be able to tag it, proactively go to the employee management, and then also go to the tenant and manage that behavior, and also keep a record of that for potential future needs. But the whole ROI of the investment in that AI module is the elimination of the wrap-up time. Because now we've worked out from the call logs, they're spending between 18 and 20% of their day taking notes on the calls. And now the notes will be more accurate. It'll happen 24/7. It's just something they don't have to worry about. And there'll always be a transcript or a call recording to back it up if you need to verify it.
Yeah. So when you talk about wrap-up time, you're talking about the time it takes to write all of your notes before you make the next call. Yeah. So I guess that's really applicable in every business, because you're, from a sales perspective, but also from a client satisfaction perspective as well. There's lots of applications there to save people time. And more importantly than saving them time, it's really around focusing their efforts on actually making a good phone call, supporting their client. As opposed to taking notes. And even I love systems. I love technology. I have no excuse for the laziness that I have when it's putting notes in my CRM.
Busy.
Well, yeah, I still also like writing when my clients are talking, and typing is quite different than writing. So even though I love technology, I still write notes when I talk to a client, which then requires me to type them in.
So do I.
And it's that time, right? Personally, I do sales calls, quite a lot of them. I do them in 15 minutes and they're all back to back. And if I've done 5 or 7 in a row, I have to then go and input those notes. So that's that wrap up time that you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. To make this is as an aspect of this is more accessible without the AI module. You can out of the box. Many of these services offer the transcription on an individual call. So, for example, you went and made you had 7 15-minute sessions throughout the day. All of those notes would be there, the summary and the transcriptions, and then you could, that might make it easier to bring it over and cut and paste.
Yeah.
The only caveat, this is a big caveat to all this empowerment from AI, is that the wealth is in the transcription and the recording in terms of the tone, the sentiment, and the subsequent actions and triggers that could be done through the chatbot or through the voice.
Yeah.
The caveat is that all comes undone if they don't wish for their call to be recorded.
Yeah. Then what?
And that is entirely their option. It doesn't happen very often. Most people are pretty used to, now this call is being recorded for quality and training purposes. But it is an option they must have, and they must be informed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess the other side of that coin is around the privacy of all that data.
Yes.
And if you're recording all of that data all the time for every phone call, and if I'm a customer of you for 20 years, you've got 20 years of me, and especially in a disability business, I might be calling to tell you about a very personal thing that has happened. I might not be okay with you then having that in your system forever. And then the data that can come from that. What about the possible data hacks? What about the other ramifications of that information getting out there?
Yeah, we get micro-measured. The supercomputers capture as much information about us as they can all the time. All the cookies we have to accept every time we go to a website. Yeah, it's an eyeball business, and there's a supercomputer behind everything suggestion they present to you.
Yeah,
putting all that information.
All the algorithms.
It's scary.
Yeah. What are some examples you've seen where businesses have used this AI to make their service delivery better? So instead of just saving time and effort from a return on investment perspective, what about improvements in quality of service delivery?
Yeah, well, it's still relatively early days. Probably the high-end contact centers might be leading that a little bit. And there's a number of dependencies behind it. And the dependencies are that you're using a service that does integrate to your CRMs and things like that. But the one I mentioned earlier, where the support coordinator who's providing a service to participants can understand if and when there's frustration and where and how to improve that. So it's an environment whereby leveraging the conversations and identifying what it is you want to look out for, you can take steps to manage it and coach it. And the facility is set up so that they can set up and identify these calls and individually coordinate some training or coaching to the respective agent who had the conversation. And similarly, the agent can get access to this as well. And this could all be controlled at a macro level. So the agent can also go and self-police on what they did and what transpired. The AI agent can bring up suggestions or conversations or scripted information during the call. It can hear the call and what's going on, and it can bring up scripted information about what could be said or guiding it.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
Yeah.
In the AI Apprentice, we're trying to encourage businesses to use AI to experiment, to test things.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to test out some AI telephony features or augmenting their systems, what are some simple things that they could do to see if using AI in their business, in their phone system, is something they want to explore?
Yeah. The vendors that I help people assess, there's only a handful of them that I consider to have the necessary risk profile. What they all have is a 30-day, typically a 30-day clause, and that's your environment to test it.
Yeah.
They do it within the agreement because then they consider people to be more serious about and genuine about actually wanting to consider the value. And that can be negotiable depending upon the vendors, the respective vendor, and how flexible they are. That's the environment to do that. We try and flush out a lot of that beforehand in the discovery process in terms of exactly what it is they're looking for. I think what's equally important to consider, and this is one of the things that I bring up when assessing a vendor, when you think of a vendor as being delivered from a cloud service, and CRMs and Teams and Xero, the accounting software, they're all the same. It's a SaaS, it's software as a service, it's delivered from the cloud. I think it's important to look at their reputation on many parameters. One of them is their track record of innovation, their track record of growth, of compliance, of data breaches. All that information generally is available, particularly if they're a publicly traded company, because everything's a moment in time.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest vendors that most of my clients have taken, they were a little behind in getting some of the AI augmentation out there, but they're very guarded about it. They wanted to make sure that it was controlled, it was reliable, it supported their 5 nines availability. That means it's up and running. They have a track record for it running 99.999% of the time. At the end of the day, if there's no dial tone or the quality is poor, it doesn't matter how good all the rest of it is.
Yeah. And you talked about quite a few different things that can be done with AI inside your telephone, from AI answering it, diverting it to other people. I'm sure there's voicemail applications, there's recording, transcribing. Where would someone start? Is it about identifying what they do now and what makes sense? Or is there, a simple thing to start with and then you increase as you become more comfortable with using AI in your telephone?
So I think there's 2 things here. There's either leveraging AI and incorporating that into your telephony, or replacing your telephony system with an AI-empowered telephony capability. So my typical approach is when there's an appetite or a compelling event to have that discussion and review, and it could be something that's 6 months out. We look at the current situation, what your challenges are, and what the ideal environment would be, and we collectively go through that process. And in that process as well, because AI is advancing so quickly, there is a strong scenario of they don't know what they don't know. So part of my obligation is to try and stay on top as much as I can, and on what those benefits might be and how they can be leveraged. Does that answer?
Yeah.
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 So
if someone's listening to this podcast and they had never heard of AI telephony, what would be the biggest benefit that you would see in using this? And I guess then what are the biggest pros and biggest cons if they were going to write down a list of before they start to explore this?
It all depends on where we're starting from, what the base is. I guess the biggest jump would be an organization that's in a traditional on-premise system.
Yeah.
So if we just describe that's an environment where you have a PBX box in the corner, and you're using handsets, or they might have some kind of interface to your computer where you can then use it there. But you would also have some kind of infrastructure like cables. So you're getting a Telstra bill that what's typically called SIP infrastructure. We don't need to know what that means, but it's infrastructure you need to get. There's a big jump from there. I'm currently trying to talk to a health organization now that is using exactly that. And every time they need to make a change, they have to go back to the company. It's slow, it's tedious. The interface is clunky. It's not easy. That's a big transition for them.
Yeah.
To go from that environment to one that's completely cloud-based, where it's continually innovating. You have all these additional modules that you can add on. And I think this is really important. It's an environment that can be owned and controlled by operations. This is no longer, best practice is no longer in the domain of IT. No disrespect to IT, but it would be like going to IT to make a decision about Xero, the accounting software, or the CRM. It's used by operations. It should be owned by operations. Today, it's all about operational agility. So these environments are set up to be configured, much like you would configure your CRM or calculate your BAS for Xero, which I did on the weekend. But you know what I mean? It's not darkroom IT stuff.
Yeah.
And I think IT is finding that increasingly refreshing. And as a steward, they should be embracing that opportunity. So they're allowed to more focus on more important things like data breach and cybersecurity.
Yeah. And what about a small or medium business that might just be using their mobile phones now and want a more sophisticated system to triage calls, etc.?
That's a very good point, and a mission on my time. Everything that I said here is available for small to medium. The bulk of my focus is on small to medium organizations. These are systems, because they're cloud-based, they have infinite scale. So I have clients that have I have 2 extensions on this service. This same service that I use has a health company on it that has 12,000 users. That's just within Australia. Overseas, they have 60,000. So there's no scale issue. Mobile numbers are interesting. To date, most of these cloud services have only virtualized landline numbers. There's a lot of organizations I go to, and in the care sector, a lot of them still issue corporate mobiles, and they're conducting business on mobile numbers. These numbers largely are just giving you a dial tone, and if you look it up, you might be able to get a bill, a little bit of call handling here and there. They're now virtualizing those mobile numbers and bringing them over, which means they're completely untethered. They're not tied to an eSIM. They're not tied to a particular phone. That virtualized mobile number now has behind it, it's like an iceberg. You see the little tip, but behind it is an enterprise call handling capability with all those AI modules. You don't have to leverage that necessarily. So I encourage companies to not be intimidated by it. At the end of the day, you're still making and receiving calls. There's still a button, looks exactly the same. But now you can put that on your own device and switch to a BYOD scenario. Some people are happy with that. But you have this infinite empowerment for call handling and actionable intelligence, both for the individual employee, but also for the company. So the individual can now go in there and redirect their calls if they're going to Hawaii in 3 weeks' time, and automatically set that up a year in advance. Or set up the call handling rules. I want it to ring 3 times before it goes to this person, or and the admin can decide where and how much control they give them individually. But yeah, that's the transition now that's made available.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
For me, I've had cloud-based phone systems for about 10 years, and the reason initially we decided is that I was running an e-learning business at the time. And we had staff all over the world. And we needed to hire, if we had a new system we were building in, we needed to be able to hire someone who can build in that system for 4 weeks who's based in Russia, or, someone that our graphic design team were in Vietnam. And so that's why we ended up going to a cloud-based system, was for that remote staff. And also I loved that that I can use my phone, so I can pick up my mobile phone, use an app to then call out from an Australian landline, so that for my clients, the perception is that I have a big fancy office and I have a handset sitting on my thing, where really it's me sitting in my car using my mobile phone. It gives that perception of corporate, bigger business than we were. And we worked with mostly government clients. So for calling a government agency, it didn't look as good using my personal mobile phone number. And then you can also separate that so that no one had my personal mobile number. I only gave out my office number that still rang to my phone, and it did sync with our CRM, so I could see who was calling, track it, all of those things. So for me, that really was a big shift in moving from a very small business to moving to being a medium business and being able to then unlock talent across the world. Yeah. What are some other reasons why people decide that they're going to move to this type of phone system?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a good one. And I have, it's good to have the option of either using mobile numbers or landlines because, as you said, in some cases, people perceive the landline as being more corporate. I, as it happens, have a number in Sydney as well. So if I'm calling someone in Sydney, I'll call from a Sydney number. But that could easily be a number based in Tamworth or a number based in Dubbo or in Albany in southwestern Australia, because people like that local presence.
Yeah.
When it's a mobile number, they generally would use those for a different reason.
Personal connection.
Well, landline numbers increasingly, unfortunately, are often the source of scam calls. People don't trust them. And so that's why some people are going to mobile. And because they think it's personal, they're more likely to pick it up. I have one organization that does a lot of outbound sales calls. And they said, we just won't get, people won't pick up the call if it's a landline. So they call from mobile numbers, virtualized mobile numbers. But some of the other benefits are, I guess, just having that wealth of options available that you're not going to get in some of those on-premise or limited systems. Anything, if the system, I think there's two ways to look at it. Either it's on-premise, and you're not gonna have the flexibility. The rate of change is so significant. Because to upgrade it, you have to upgrade the firmware. It's a manual process. It's move way beyond that. Or you've got something that's quasi. It's like a hybrid. And there's a major international partner that has one that requires infrastructure. The cloud systems, it did just provide the options, the choices, the flexibility, and that continual innovation. That can then feed into where AI is going, and like chatbots and AI agents and triggering workflows.
Yeah. And what about the cost? What are the costs comparatively? How does it stack up?
Oh, gosh.
So for me personally, it saved me money moving to an AI cloud system. We had a cloud-based system that had a virtual PBX that was hosted by an Australian company that was our partner.
Yep.
We did that for a couple of years, and we have a really great tech team in my company, being we're an e-learning business. So then we hosted that system ourselves, and we had zero fee to do that, and we paid for our calls.
Yeah.
And that meant I think we had about $5,000 a year for someone else to host it. But while we were getting used to the technology, it was really great to have that partnership to be able to call them and say, can you do the call rerouting? Can you get me this call recording? It was all recorded, so we could call and say, this call was made at this time. Can you send me the recording? Can we get the reports?
Yep.
That was really great. But after we'd used the system for a few years, our tech team were able to take that over without it being a big issue for them.
Right.
And then that saved us maybe $5,000 a year. And so that was quite a good thing.
Yeah.
For me, the best thing was we grew quite a big sales team, and the sales team being able to see their call logs, dial numbers, how long they called for, the stats that I was able to get, which I couldn't get through Telstra, through landlines. The increased data was really great. And then we were able to use an API to push that into a dashboard, and we created a little tracker where we could then see that metrics in real time.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful transparency as the business owner as we were growing a sales team. When we got rid of the sales team, that was less important. I didn't, from a delivery perspective, it didn't really matter how long customer service were on the calls. They didn't have KPIs of phone calls. I prefer them delivering work than being on the phone anyway. Yep. But I think that level of transparency wasn't something that we'd had in the past. And so that was another big benefit.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to figure out where to start. I guess what you described and what took time to build up over time, I think you mentioned your team eventually got caught up on how to get that stuff themselves. I think the ramp-up time, the learning curve is significantly faster. Yeah. And of course, all of that stuff is out of the box now as well. The dashboards, the average handling times, all the metrics and data analytics that you want. You can automate it to any frequency you want. I want to know. I want to get a report on Thursday, 3:30 of all the outbound calls that were made to these numbers that were between 30 seconds and 60 seconds. Yeah. Obviously you're not going to do that, but that's available. So part of the issue, of course, with any tech is any internal dependency you have. So if you have that one person who has all that knowledge about operating that system and they leave, then that's a bit of exposure and a lack of redundancy in your business. And I think with these services, the more they are easy to configure and manage, the less risk you have in that regard.
Yeah.
And again, you have that constant innovation. So just within the last 4 years, I've seen significant changes in many of the vendors, both in terms of reliability, in terms of capability, the AI, the enhancements in AI, and just being able to take those voice calls and trigger a whole, create a potential for AI agents or actionable intelligence in any way that you want to manage. And over time, they'll continue to expand. And of course, the other thing is the pre-built integration. So when I mention integration, people might freeze and think it's an IT thing. Well, these are pre-built, so you're not really integrated. You're basically just installing it. With my cloud service, I use Zoho as a CRM. I set it up myself. Those are the kind of things that are really important. I linked it into Teams, so I make my calls from there using this third-party service. It's not the Microsoft offer. And I can report on it and view the analytics and do other actions within Teams. So part of the thing is you don't want people switching from multiple applications back and forth, because that can be a hassle as well.
Yeah. If you look a couple of years into the future, what do you think that Telephone is going to look like given the rate of change with AI?
Yeah. I frankly think that AI will continue to own and manage more and more of the engagement. And that's both opportunity and a concern. About the lack of human connection. And the more connectors that will have interoperability to other systems and quality of data available, the more it will be able to action an infinite number of things. That is the direction it will be going. So it'll be up to businesses creating strategy to say that we want to have a component of it to be a human engagement.
Yeah.
But and this will be equally reflected in a chatbot.
Yeah.
Right. So that they're just both communication vehicles, and they can both be seamlessly tied into the same processes.
And I guess that is the value to a business in capturing all of their data, all of their phone calls being transcribed like you're describing, is that they could then use all of that data to go, right, let's look at the last 600 questions that we got, and now build that via automation of going, okay, and being able to, AI is really good at hyper-personalization. So this idea of, if that person calls, knowing that that person last time called about A, and saying to them, hi, Tania, thanks for calling. If you're calling about issue A and want to talk to Katie again, press 1. If this is a new issue and you'd like to talk to Bob, press 2. And then Katie's notes come up, actions come up, meeting minutes from other meetings they've had externally comes up, so that Katie then can take off where they left off and provide that higher quality. Yeah.
Context. It's just context. You have to, you can't, you improve the quality of service through context.
So the usability of that data that you've collected.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, we're collecting all this data. Even me, I transcribe and record every conversation I have, and I can have 17 to 20 meetings every day. I transcribe all of that. And often I'm like, why? Why am I transcribing? For me, it's quality control, and I use it for training other people, and I use it for lots of things. But I don't have an architecture system to collect the data in a way that's easy for me to be able to go, show me every call where I mentioned X.
Right.
Where if I had that level of oversight, thinking of the AI tools that we've been building, that would be immensely powerful to the AI Tania little chatbot we've been building, for every call to then update the database of our other AI agents in our business, so that that knowledge is being reused within the business.
Yeah. And that's becoming increasingly available to the small business.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's not quite there, I don't think, in terms of affordability, but it's very close. Well, as an example, I guess, in terms of, if I were to throw some raw numbers out there, you could get a small business that had, say, 10 extensions could get and they wanted to have that AI ability to be able to capture across all 10 extensions, any conversation that any tracker that they create based on word, phrase, or concept. You're probably looking at about $125 to $135 per user per month.
Yeah, okay.
If you took the AI side of it out, then that could reduce it down substantially to about 25 to 35.
Yeah.
So there's little, and every vendor is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
And then of course you have to weigh everything else into that, quality of service, track record innovation.
Yeah.
But it's only by staying focused on that and embracing it where there's a window to do so that you'll be able to get that benefit of context and action that you can take.
Yeah.
I mean, as an example, I like to note, I have to incorporate where people are. I speak to a lot of executives every day, and I have to incorporate where they're at in terms of timing. What's the appropriate cadence for them? They just had a baby, or they're going on a trip to Antarctica. I write all that stuff down. I try and personalize it as much as I can. I'm not sure how I could report on that, but I certainly have to reference it before I make the call.
Yeah.
But in a higher volume environment, just even knowing if someone's unhappy because they weren't told something happened that they weren't told about, simple things like that, So there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch this space.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me today. If someone wants to chat to you further about their telephony needs, what's the best way to get in touch?
I'm on LinkedIn, Andrew Olson, based in Newcastle, servicing the country nationally. Donnerbrook.com is another way to find me. What did I miss?
No, that's it. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks a lot, Tania.
In 30 minutes, you just learned what most business owners will spend months trying to figure out on their own. Want to keep that momentum going? Join our free AI Apprentice community at providercollective.com.au. Hundreds of business owners testing tools and sharing real wins. Come and be an AI apprentice with me. Let's become masters together. I'll see you next week, or better yet, I'll see you inside the community today.